Hey, what's going on, YouTubeverse? John Stanek from Johnny Radio here, bringing you my third tier list. And I'm excited to say that you guys voted, and it ended up being Led Zeppelin. So far, you guys have voted correctly because the Beatles, the Radiohead, and Zeppelin are my three favorite bands of all time. Not exactly in that order, but I'm excited that we're getting to these first, knocking them out, and then we'll see where we go from here. But let's not waste any time. Let's get right to this, folks. I'm going to share my screen here, and we are going to start this Zeppelin ranking of their albums. As we always do, we're going to go chronologically, starting with their first album. And I'm actually, believe it or not, putting it all the way up here in the S category. I think this is one of the greatest debut albums of all time. I mean, just that iconic album cover, which just is the perfect album artwork for that. Just says everything right there. They really did go over like a Led Zeppelin, like Keith Moon said. And for me, this was my entry point into the band. Dazed and Confused, especially the first time I heard it, it just totally blew my mind. It was like unlike anything I had ever heard. And at that time, I was only, a preteen and had only really heard rock from around the late 80s, early 90s. And I was like, whoa, this came out in 1969. Are you kidding me? Um, and then, of course, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, just another incredible song that starts out as a ballad and gets super heavy. Um, Good Times, Bad Times, I Can't Quit You, Baby. I mean, there is not a weak track on this thing. Just as I said, one of the greatest debuts of all time. So, how do you top that going from Led Zeppelin 1 to Led Zeppelin 2? And in my opinion, you don't really top it. I think 2 is a little bit weaker. Although it's pretty close though. I mean, Whole Lot of Love. Oh my God, one of the greatest opening tracks of any album. And then Bring It On Home, also a very strong closer. There's some great stuff on here. Ramble On, What Is and What Should Never Be, or cool ballads. Thank You. Um, Again, not much weakness here. The only one that I'm not crazy about is the Living Loving Maid. She's just a woman, but even that, I mean, it's not terrible or anything. I mean, this is a really strong album. Just not quite as strong as the debut. That's why I have it in the A status. But hey, A is not bad either, guys. So now Led Zeppelin 3 from 1970. By the way, 1 and 2 both came out in 69. That's insane. Um, so now Led Zeppelin 3, I'm also putting in the A status. Another great one, man. I mean, Immigrant Song, a really strong opener. Since I've Been Loving You, which is one of my top 5 favorite Zeppelin songs of all time. Just incredible blues song there. And I love all the acoustic stuff on side B. That's the Way, Bronyar Stomp, all of it. Tangerine, another great one. Yeah, there's always like one track though on these that I'm not putting in the S status that doesn't do it for me, and that's the Hats Off to Roy Harper. It's just kind of annoying and kind of a weak way to end the album, in my opinion. But overall, really strong. Another great one from Zepp. So now Led Zeppelin 4, you know where this is going to go. It's on my wall of perfect albums behind me. 10 out of 10. Just amazing. Every song on here is great, from the opener of Black Dog to the closer of When the Levee Breaks, which is my personal favorite Led Zeppelin song of all time. Then, of course, you got Stairway to Heaven. I mean, come on. Most other people's favorite song of all time. Misty Mountain Hop is another great rocker. There's nothing bad on this album. It is perfect. And yeah, so it has to be in that S tier. So now Houses of the Holy comes next. The first album not to be self-titled by Zeppelin. And that one I'm also going to put in the A status. I don't although I do love this album, I think it does have some moments that aren't as strong as others, but I mean, the Rain song alone is just incredible. Then you've got Over the Hills and Far Away, just an amazing track that takes several twists and turns that are all amazing. Um, of course, No Quarter. I think the longer songs are some of the better ones on here. I think it's a little uneven, even though, great tracks like The Ocean. Song Remains the Same doesn't do it for me as much. And of course, The Crunge is one that a lot of people kind of hate. I don't hate it. I just don't think it's that great. And it's just a little all over the place, which in some ways is a good thing. Like Jamaica is a cool, fun song that you don't hear them doing a reggae style on many other albums, but overall, it's still Zeppelin at, not quite the peak of their powers. I think that's going to be next year with Physical Graffiti from 1975, the great double album. That's got to be S tier, man. I mean, that's just one of the greatest double albums of all time. I mean, Kashmir alone, just incredible. Then you've got, other opuses like In My Time of Dying. Just, oh my God. The first time I heard that, I was just like, you got to be kidding me. And as if John Bonham didn't solidify himself enough as the greatest drummer ever. And of course, Jimmy Page, the guitar hero, all over this album. Tracks like In the Light, 10 Years Gone, Custard Pie. There's so much to love on here. And kind of like Houses of the Holy, genre wise, this does go a little bit all over the place in a good way. You've got delicate acoustic numbers like Bronyar, the instrumental, Black Country Woman, which I think is really underrated. Just love this. Trampled Underfoot. I could go on and on. But yeah, that is absolutely an S tier album for sure. So now, after that, like I said, Physical Graffiti was kind of the peak of their powers. Um, from here, I almost want to put this in the B status, but I'm going to put Presence in the C status. And that's just because it's not an album that I tend to revisit. Of course, Achilles' Last Stand, the opening track is amazing, what they accomplished musically on there. But the rest of the album, there's not that many standouts aside from that. Of course, you have Nobody's Fault But Mine is a great one, but the rest of it I just don't revisit as much, and for that reason, I can't quite put it in the B status. But C status, for Zeppelin is still, it isn't bad, guys. There's really no bad Zeppelin album. Like a C to me is not, and that I would grade this like a 65 on my grading scale. So sorry if that offends any of you Zeppelin diehards, but that is a C to me. But then coming back with In Through the Outdoor, which is a strong B, in my opinion, that one is a little bit better and has more standout tracks, ones that I revisit more often, like In the Evening, Fool in the Rain, All of My Love, I'm Gonna Crawl is a really great track that you don't hear enough, in my opinion. But it has its weaker tracks as well, like Hot Dog is kind of ridiculous, and um, Sick Again. I mean, it's or no, Sick Again's on a different album. I'm sorry, but yeah, overall, still a strong outing from the band, who were kind of on the decline. Unfortunately, unlike the Beatles that had like the greatest trajectory upward of all time, Zeppelin, I think, kind of peaked out on Physical Graffiti, and then of course Coda. Some people don't even count it. As a true album, as this was more a collection of songs that were either like different versions or outtakes after the great John Bonham passed away, and the band essentially called it quits. This one I'm going to also put in the C range, kind of for that reason. I mean, there are some, like the version of I Can't Quit You Baby, I think is better than the one on Led Zeppelin 1. And of course, Bonzo's Montreux is really cool. But overall, as a collection, kind of uneven, not super great. and sadly, kind of a weak coda on the end of an amazing career. So that being said, I mean, look at this. This is still, I think, one of the greatest discographies out there. Not quite as great as Radiohead and the Beatles, but absolutely in the conversation as one of the greatest and truly one of the greatest bands ever. So let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you think that I was close to what you guys would have, or what would you do differently? It's tough to rank these sometimes, but Zeppelin, just one of the greatest, man. So let me know too in the comments below, who do you think I should do a tier list of next? Um, Absolutely looking forward to doing Coldplay, U2. I know there's some others. There's not that many bands that I've listened to their entire discography, and that goes for single artists as well. But would love to give another one a shot here in the near future. So, guys, thanks so much for watching. We got top fives every Friday, album reviews, so much more. Thank you for watching, and as always, Viva La Vinyl. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and be sure to ring the bell for notifications so you can always see great quality content like you're seeing on the screen right now. Thank you so much for supporting Johnny Radio, and I'll see you soon.